What's up, fight fans? You're tuned in to the Global Fight Talk Show. I'm your host, Maddox. This is my co-host, Dallas Owens. Got a lot to go over. A couple fights last weekend, a couple big fights, crazy results. Some people coming out of their shells, a little bit of beef, and then we got some fights coming up in the upcoming weekend. But before we get into all of it and get to chopping it up like we love to, how you doing, Dallas? What's going on over there?
I'm good, man. Had a pretty good day. Hummingbirds are flying all over the place. We have 20 that just like dive bomb you on the porch. Learned a little bit about blackbirds because I saw a gigantic flock of only female red-winged blackbirds. So read into that. Turns out the males get wherever they're going in their migratory pattern before the females do. So yeah, learned a little bit, laughed a little bit, loved a little bit. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I got to do some research on blackbirds and what the hell a migratory pattern is, but I'll get with you that on. I'll get with you on that later.
I have books.
Yeah,
I'll let you borrow some books.
cool. I love to read. Yeah, same old going over here. Enjoying myself down here in Oklahoma. Actually going out to Invicta FC 61 this weekend in Shawnee, Oklahoma, which is a little less than 2 hours out from me. So, not
Nice.
right down the street, but yeah, conveniently located. Excuse me, so I can get there, cover the fights, get back in the same night. Probably write a little article about it, but looking forward to that. That's got an
Who's
atomweight
fighting?
title fight. Alessandra Piera and Anna Pelosi's. Um, they're fighting for the atomweight title. And it's also got Emily Ducote on the undercard. She's a former UFC fighter. So it should be a solid card. You know, the Invicta is kind of like the pipeline league for women's MMA getting into the UFC. A lot of the greatest girls of UFC history come out of Invicta. So I've always wanted to cover one of their events, I'm super excited to see some young talent, some solid prospects that are probably going to be the future of women's mixed martial arts.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Congratulations. That's going to be a blast.
Yeah, super excited. But we can just jump into it with last weekend. Nothing too crazy on the UFC card. You got Raul Hosses winning by unanimous decision. He almost got caught there at the end, but he rode it out. He's got a couple in a row, looking like a solid prospect. Definitely for a guy as young as he is. You got Drew Dober got stopped in the first round. Did not expect that. Manuel Torrez came out looking good. Hit him with a nice 1-2 down the pipe. Stopped him with the hammer fist. A couple of people online were talking about an early stoppage. Absolutely ridiculous. Probably should have been stopped 4 or 5 punches earlier. So yeah, back to the drawing board for Drew Dober, and then Brandon Moreno gets the job done over Steve Erceg. I mean, I texted you before the fight and told you I knew that was going to happen. Not that I'm a psychic or anything for thinking that. It's just I feel so strongly about how mishandled Steve Erceg has been. A guy that got into the UFC, he fought 3 times, and then they gave him a title shot, but not only just a title shot against Alexandra Pantoja, who is a fucking animal.
Yeah, he's a
And
monster.
then Kai Car France immediately after that, and then Brandon Moreno. Like what are we doing to this kid? Just absolutely mishandling him. Saw him as a potential star. If you're gonna if you see somebody as a potential star and you're a promoter or the leader of an organization, you treat them as such, not shoot them up to the top way too early. I won't say the flyweight division is the deepest division in the UFC, but it's certainly not shallow. It's not light. You've got to handle your potential superstars a lot better than that. And now you got a guy who you thought was going to be a superstar on a 3-fight losing streak because you got him in there with absolute fucking monsters, and he's only had 6 fights in the UFC. Um,
Dang.
yeah, Completely mishandled there. But yeah, not much on the UFC card. It was a solid card, top to bottom. A couple finishes here and there, but pretty much what we expected to happen. Besides Drew Dober getting taken care of like that. Um, but then shortly after that, later on in the night, William Zepeda and Tevin Farmer was a very solid main event, and co-main event pretty good too, huh?
The whole card was solid, totally worth watching. The very bottom of the main card, which I want to talk about, was Yocosta Valle with against Marlon Esparza. The very bottom of like a 5-fight card was Yocosta Valle and Marlon Esparza. I think, considering who was above them in co-main and below, like I think it was a little disrespectful to these ladies. I mean, Marlon Esparza unified 3 freaking belts at I think it was women's flyweight. Costa Valle is a 3-weight world champion. The only reason she barely by a hair missed becoming the very first undisputed minimum weight or whatever. I think it's minimum weight, maybe junior flyweight against Sinisa Estrada, and I mean it's Sinisa Estrada. These women have done so much, and Marlon Esparza is like, in my opinion, never really gotten as popular as I think she deserved to be from like what she accomplished, both in the amateurs and in the pros. And Yocosta Valle, I didn't know a whole lot about until they were building it up to where her and Sinisa were going to meet down the line. Both of them were champions in the same division. So I started watching her. I mean, and she's amazing, very incredibly skillful. But what's amazing in this fight was that girl went up two full weight classes to meet Marlon Esparza, who's big and can punch. And she went up there and did that, and then they boxed. I mean, honestly, it was it was a close fight. I could see arguments either way. I think the right person won. Yoka Valle took that one, and it wasn't for a belt. Marlon Esparza came in a pound and a half over, which is just more beneficial to her. But she's kind of on the back part of her career. Costa Valle seems to be in her prime right now. She plans on going back down 2 weight classes to defend her title. And I think she's going to go for a title in the weight class above as well. She can just like jump around. And so, I mean, basically, all in all, it's just that was a co-main fight at worst. I mean, I pie in the sky. If I had my druthers, it would have been its own main event. But I understand how the world works right now, especially around women's boxing. It's getting more popular, getting more recognition. Not enough recognition, still not popular enough, in my opinion. But aside from that, the rest of the card was fine. I'm just gonna skip to the main fight. Tevin Farmer, William Zepeda rematch. I thought it was a very good fight. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Let me get your thoughts on it.
I also thought it was a great fight. I was still watching Mayer Ryan 2. When the first couple of rounds were going on. So I had to go back and watch it the day before yesterday. And unfortunately, like I didn't want to see, Zepeda banked all of those rounds that I missed. And I wanted to come on here and make a case for Tevin Farmer winning the fight, which there's still a slight case, obviously, because, there are swing rounds in there. Some of them were close. I don't think. Well, I don't know. Maybe not swing rounds, but a lot of them were close. I think
most of them were competitive. At least competitive.
Yeah, competitive. I will definitely say competitive. I shared the scorecards with I think 2 of the judges. 115 to 113, 7 rounds to 5. I honestly believe Tevin Farmer knocked him down in that 12th round. It looked like he made.
I disagree.
I know. It like if you're watching it real time, like not slow motion replay, nothing like that. It's like you say, that's a knockdown. So
right.
I'll concede that point. Even if you give Tevin Farmer the knockdown, though, Zepeda wins by 1 point. Because I already gave Farmer the 12th round. I thought it was a good fight. I thought Tevin Farmer showed extreme heart 4 or 5 times in the fight. I thought it could have been stopped. I thought it was it for him. He did a really good job jab and move, and that uppercut was automatic. And I think he
Great.
just, like, not that Williams Zepeda has looked unbeatable in the past. I think he just put out a hardcore blueprint of how to beat Williams Zepeda: move, pivot, clinch, uppercut his ass when he gets close, because he constantly put his head down that straight up Mexican style. He doesn't punch with enough volume to stop you from throwing that uppercut, but he does punch from enough volume to swarm you if you don't.
That's fair. That's fair. I think it's this. I mean, it happens a lot. You know, somebody puts a blueprint out how to beat somebody. The thing about that blueprint is, though, you have to have at least the skill set of the person who made it
Yeah.
to be successful. And even he wasn't successful. Tevin Farmer is. I've been watching this dude for years and years. He's like a hard luck. You know, worked his ass off to get where he was. Just phenomenally slick. Like when he was great, he was great. And you know, he had a couple of lackluster performances here and there. Just got the rough end of a decision a few times across his career, early on and later on. I'm glad he's getting these fights now. I thought he was kind of circling towards obscurity after the Jojo Diaz loss, and I'm really glad he's back in the spotlight. And I'm glad he was able to showcase those skills. It's unfortunate that it's so late in his career now that one, he's taking a lot of damage. Two, he doesn't have the. He's still great. He's better than most. I'll say that. He's got defensive acumen. He's still got really good reflexes, but it's not. He's just lost like a little bit of a step, and now people are going to start seeing more of him, which is a shame because I mean he's done some phenomenal stuff on like defensively only, just phenomenal stuff. Offensively, he's always been at least adequate. Sometimes also great, but as far as the knockdown goes, I see what you're saying. I think Sergio Mora said something similar of like the ref doesn't have replay, so he should have called that a knockdown. I don't know what the ref saw and what he didn't. I think you could see a cup and a pull as it's happening if you're in the right position, you know. And I think that's what happened. He saw the cup and the pull, which is what it was. Again, if they would have called it a knockdown at the time, I wouldn't have made a big stink about it. But to me, that's not truly a knockdown. I understand that some people think the punch before that is what hurt him, and then he was able to pull him down so easy because of that. And there's an argument to be made there, but other than that, I agree pretty much with you and with two of the judges. I'd actually don't even disagree with any of the judges. One had it a draw. One was 115, 113, and I believe the other one was 116, 112. I could see all three of those scores easily. Not upset at the result at all. I'm glad Williams Zepeda gets to keep on moving on his career because he may not be a world beater, may never become, you know, this undisputed pound for pound star, but he's going to be fun as hell while he's here. So I'm glad he just gets to continue moving. I'm sure Golden Boy is so glad they get to keep one guy, at least one guy, undefeated at the top of this table. Please, I'm sure they were thinking. But other than that, man, the heart of Farmer was just amazing. I was telling you, I texted you. I was like, man, I already had the write-up about the end of the fight in the second round because I saw his arm was hurt, obviously. And then he wasn't using it at all for a moment. And I was like, oh, no, he can't fight this volume puncher one-handed. Next round, he fights the volume puncher one-handed, and then at the end looks like he's in complete agony. He had taken maybe, I want to say 50. It was probably like 25 hard shots to the body that round. Just non-stop shots to the body, and he looked like he had it. I was like, he's definitely going to quit after this round. His coaches are going to see he's in agony. They're going to stop it. They didn't. He made it the distance, and he did really well and won quite a few. I mean, won more rounds than you would think you could with 1.5 arms, though. He didn't really shy away from throwing it after a couple of rounds passed. I guess that adrenaline kicked back in. And so when he threw it, he landed it.
Yeah, not just the second round either, though. Like the fifth round too could have easily been stopped because that's when he was in real trouble. And just to kind of piggyback on that, like we're talking about guys with heart and overcoming things. Like one thing you don't see is people coming back from body shots and coming back from taking an immense amount of damage to the body to where they're hunched over, they're leaned over, they can barely stand. And, you know, once that happens, you're pretty much barbecue. Put a fork in him. And we're talking about this early in the fight, early in a 12-round fight. And he comes back. He and he completely takes it, carries on in the fight, continues to absorb a million body shots like everybody else that fights Williams Zepeda does, and like you said, makes it to the final bell. I mean, it's honestly sad that was their second fight, because nothing I want more to watch that fight again for Tevin Farmer, B, because Williams Zepeda is hella fun to watch, and C, because it was such a close fight, but that's just not how it works in boxing. But like you said, man, it's hard to keep a fighter undefeated. I feel like Matchroom or Golden Boy, excuse me, have been doing too good of a job matchmaking to where they can't get their damn stars. They're losing to the opponents.
Yeah, and just when you think they're about to take that big step, they don't. Floyd Schofield, sorry, Kid Austin, big fan, but you had a shot and it didn't work. I mean, legitimately, if you're sick, you don't want to hit that stage for the first time when you're not feeling at least like 85, 90%. I don't expect anybody to feel 100% in there all the time, but that's a shame. But yeah, I mean, and they're kind of. I mean, I guess the people are saying mostly that they're kind of running out of stars. Ryan Garcia seems to be on his way out. Virgil Ortiz, Virgil Ortiz is doing fantastic.
Yeah.
I hope he becomes the most popular man in the sport because he completely deserves it. Not only is he a Texas boy, he's much like Williams Zepeda. He's like just nonstop fun action, and on top of all that, his last fight, he took 2 steps up and just became the way he executed that game plan was just phenomenal. But I feel like I'm getting sidetracked. After the fight, speaking of Tevin Farmer's heart, right?
Yeah.
After the fight, he came out with a post saying that people were worried about his head tick, and it turns out that he's had Tourette's syndrome this whole time. He's just been keeping it in secret. Now, for me, I've been watching this dude for years. And he always had some tick or another, and I feel like it's changed a little bit over the years. But I always just knew he had some amount of Tourette's. I've known some people with it, and it's just exactly that. It's just like a tick. And so I was like, oh, he's got Tourette's. It's like cool that he's still fighting. But I didn't know it was a secret. And so since it was new to you and it was a secret and that he let go, how did you feel about about him breaking the news about him having Tourette's syndrome?
I was just surprised that it took so long that this came out. Like you said, you've been suspecting it for a while. I haven't. This fight, I definitely saw him doing it's like a head. Yeah, I saw it a lot, and I mentioned it to Jess, and she said it might be Tourette syndrome. I was like, I don't know. Well, it is.
It's really unlikely you can get that good at boxing with Tourette's syndrome.
Yeah,
it turns out.
Yeah, and I knew there's a lot of nonverbal Tourette. I wasn't just ignorant to the fact oh, it can't be that because he's not yelling cuss words. No, it's just I just didn't think that's what it was. But I did tell her it was possible. So like you said, I hope it inspires the next generation of people with Tourette's. Not that they are feel like they're victims or anything, but it is
they have limitations.
Yeah, they got representation in a lot of different places. I don't know if they have it in sports, and I'm pretty sure they don't have it in boxing. So at the very minimum, people with Tourette syndrome have representation now, and couldn't be a better representative. Such a humble guy, a great fighter, and somebody that can be honest and come out with it.
Yeah, and I kind of wish he would have come out with this earlier in his career. I feel like it would have gotten him a lot more support earlier on in his career. But I mean, who's to say? It might have kept him from getting certain fights. We don't know how commissions are or whatever. So I mean, good for him. I'm proud of him for feeling good enough about it to let people know. And I think it is, overall good for representation. But that was the main card of that fight. Now we move over to Saturday was a rough day for people who watch combat sports. I had 3 things going, minimum, just flipping back and forth. But one of those things was the thing I've been so fucking pumped about for so long. The Sandy Ryan, Mikaela Mayer rematch. But first, I guess we should probably I'll run through the undercard real quick if that's all right.
Yeah.
Miliana Vargas knocked out Giovanni Gonzalez round 2, no surprise. Bruce Shushu Carrington looked really good, knocked out, or he got the TKO on Jose Enrique Vivas in the 3rd round. He pretty much killed that man in the 2nd round. He was a dead man walking. He wasn't defending himself. He was so out of his own mind that there was no reason for that fight to continue. The ref was like, I guess we have a little time left in the round. We'll let him go and get the rest and see what happens. What happened was he stayed rocked for a full minute, and then he came out rocked, and then he ended it, I think, a minute into the 3rd round, which was ridiculous.
You usually talk about people struggling to get off the stool and struggling to get back into the. My man struggled to get back to the stool. He was done.
And to get off. And I know he wasn't listening to anything his coach was saying.
Yeah, I've said it 100 times, and I'll say it for the 101st time. I mean, your corner, like, come on, guys. Y'all, I came with you guys. I paid y'all. I've been training with y'all. Like, I need y'all to kind of have my back a little bit in there. Like, stop the fight, dude.
Yeah, and I understand if they, like, we've seen him get hit hard in the gym. We believe in him. Nobody should believe in anybody that much. No, like that was too much. You let your man get hurt, and it's probably going to have consequences down the line. Not to bring it down too much, but after the fight, Shushu, great on the mic as he usually is. He calls out other champions, namely Nick Ball. He calls out Angelo Leo briefly, Steph Fulton, which would be a great fight. Doesn't say Rafael Espinoza. People have been making a bigger deal about it than I think it is. I think he heard that Rafael Espinoza doesn't want to fight him. I don't know. This is all like he said, she said, or he said, or whatever. Promoter said. Oh, go ahead.
Who was it? Who was it in the ring interview him? Tessitore?
Yeah, I think so.
I think Tessitore said Rafael Espinoza's name. He said you talk about the short guy, Nick Ball. What about the tall guy in your stables, Rafael Espinoza?
But yes, no, he did bring it up. And he seemed like he was a little put on the spot. What is his name? It's not Joe Tessitore, though he was on the call. It was the dude who's a lot more poetic and literary, and always does like the emotional interviews. It's okay, whatever. Well, that guy did bring him up. But, I mean, out of all those dudes for Shushu, I mean, I know he wants to be a champion. I know I think he's already 28. It's about time to make that leap. I would be trying my hardest to fight Nick Ball if I was him, because as much as they love him across the pond and they think that he can handle Inoue, I don't. And I think that Shushu has a good chance of beating him with the jab he's got, with the reactions that he's got. And if he can keep it at the end of the jab, it's not even a fight. I mean, he drew with Ray Vargas, who was a champion and a solid champion at that, but he's not like a world beater pound for pound dude, and not even close. And he drew with him, and like Ray's been like inactive. And then I thought he lost to Ray Ford, to be honest with you. His last fight, he fucking kicked a guy. I don't think it gave him a huge advantage long run, but like you don't get to like just kick dudes.
He had him in the head.
So I don't know. I don't rate him too highly. Briefly, that's just the thing that happens, man. You get him with the. You can do anything you want to with your fists. Don't just like knee the dude in the thigh. I bet that frog, I bet it hurt. But yeah, if I was Shushu, I'd want to go for Nick Ball. I think he's I don't want to say he's the weakest champion of the four, but he's the weakest champion of the four, in my opinion. How do you feel, bro?
I like the matchup, man. I like Nick Ball. I'm a much bigger Nick Ball fan than you are, apparently.
I respect him, sort of. I respect him. I respect his heart. I'll say that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like him a lot, and I like that fight a lot. You got two aggressive guys. They're gonna go in there, and somebody's gonna get hurt. Somebody's probably gonna get stopped. It's probably gonna be Nick Ball, but he ain't going out softly. He ain't going out sad, nothing like that. He's going out there and he's go fight his ass off, and whatever happens is gonna happen. And I like that. I like the puncher chance he got. I like the way he approaches the fight. So if I get a fight out of those call outs, I want it to be Nick Ball, and then I want it to be Stephen Fulton after that.
I agree wholeheartedly. And actually, I feel like that's almost a 50-50 fight.
Yeah.
But then again, you never really know how great a person can be till they get that chance. And so, Tszyu may be great, but he just hasn't had the chance yet. So, we'll see. Obviously, he's going to get a fight soon at some point. He's right there, or if he doesn't move up. But aside from that, moving on to the Brian Norman Jr. TKO of Derek Cuevas in round 3. I think this was your first time watching Brian Norman Jr., was it?
Yeah.
Tell me what your impressions were of the young man.
Wait, was this the co-main event?
Yeah.
He just watched that guy, didn't he? Like it wasn't much of a fight, right?
He ate a few shots in the first round, but came out second round and it was left hooks for days, man.
Yeah, see, I had never seen Derek Cuevas ever before. Like I guess he showed up, not like he didn't he rolled over or anything like that, but yeah, Brian Norman was he was impressive. Definitely got popped, can move around a little bit. I'd like to see him a little bit higher in the rankings. What weight class was that?
He is a welterweight and he is a champion.
Okay, so yeah,
about as high as you can get. He could be unified and be a little higher.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's what's next for him. Then definitely unifying. No, he was impressive. Like I said, pop got some pop, got some good feet. But yeah, I can't really put a measuring stick on him with that type of opponent, to be honest.
Yeah, that's a small sample size. I've only honestly seen. First time I remember seeing him was against Giovanni Santillan, where I thought Santillan was going to wash the dude. He knocks him out in this brutal knockout, and then comes back and does this to this fella. Now he ate some shots and he made an adjustment that I thought was pretty smart. But either way, I think he could have just forgotten whatever adjustment he was going to make and just throw that left hook, dude. It was wild fast and wild powerful, and there's not a lot of people who can handle a couple of those, even Boots Ennis, who does get hit from time to time, another champion at that weight class. But then we go on to the
no, he's not.
Disagree.
I don't know, man. Look, he's like I said, fast got pop. I don't know, man. Boots Ennis, I'm very impressed with Boots Ennis. I think he's slick. Yeah, he gets hit from time to time, but I think he gets hit from time to time because he doesn't respect his opponents and he knows that they can't hurt him. And so there's two sides to that coin. One, when does it start? When does he start respecting his opponents? Is it never? Is it going to be too late? Or does he already know when he gets in there, this guy can't hurt me? He feels him for the first time, and it's like, okay, let's go in here and do the inside fighting, and if I get hit, I get hit. I don't know. I'm very impressed with Boots Ennis, and if they make that fight, I want to see it. I'd like to see it, but I don't think Norman's just going to be landing that left hook. Definitely not at will, and I don't think he's going to land it enough to win in the fight.
That's fair. It's not. I don't want there to be any mistake about me not rating Boots Ennis highly. I rate him incredibly highly. The way he moves is poetry. I love his style. Everything about it. He does some very slick stuff defensively, some very slick stuff offensively. I don't think he has no defense, but he does get hit. And if that's not something I don't know if it's not on the top of your priority list. I guess I just haven't seen, and we're going to see it in his next fight against, starts with an S, pretty sure, Montestanionis.
Stanionis?
Yeah, Montestanionis, who is a monster. So we're going to see what happens when he gets hit and it hurts. We're going to see what happens, and then that's a great place to judge. I'm just saying, and I would favor Boots by a lot against Brian Norman Jr. as of right now, but I'm just saying that when you got a punch that powerful, that fast, and if you can land it, I'm not saying you can land it at will, but if he can land it a couple of times on the button, anybody can get knocked out. And I think he's got a little bit more than a puncher's chance against him. But aside from
He's got good mic skills. He was on the mic.
He does.
Off after the fight. I like that. I should.
Yes, sir.
Anyway, continue. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. The way he talks is awesome. I love that Southern drawl he's got, and it seems to be like just old Southern attitude in general, like country shit,
Yeah.
which is my shit. Like, I like the dude a whole lot, and I can't wait to see what happens next. But anyway, main fight: Sandy Ryan, Mikaela Mayer. I will just say it was a unanimous decision with Mikaela Mayer winning over Sandy Ryan. 2 scores of 97-93, 1 score 98-92. I'll give my thoughts on this after you. How did you feel about this fight?
Great fight. I had it with the third judge. I had it 98-92. 8 rounds to 2 for Mikaela Mayer. Ryan took the second and the 7th round for me. Other than that, pretty one-sided for not one-sided, but like round by round scoring, one-sided for sure. The rounds were close at times, and Sandy came out hot. She came out strong. She took a different approach this time, and she came out trying to box Mikaela Mayer, which I didn't expect. I don't think Mikaela Mayer or her team expected. I think her former trainer in Ryan's camp told her to do that. Well, obviously she told her to do that, but I think he told her to do that because he doesn't feel like Mikaela Mayer can beat a boxer. And Mikaela Mayer proved that absolutely incorrect. Yeah, Ryan was doing a good job of moving and catching and countering until Mikaela Mayer, I feel like, made the adjustment, realized how she was approaching the fight, completely changed the way she was approaching the fight, pressed her without pressing her, and then put her 100 punches on her. Like that's just how Mikaela fights, no matter who it is. And she came out, she outworked her, she outlanded her. She probably hurt her a couple of times. I think Ryan hurt her 1 or 2 times as well. But yeah, dominant performance from Mikaela Mayer. No excuses this time. She's no disrespect to Sandy Ryan because she showed that she's a great fighter in these last 2 fights for sure, and in fights before that. But after the last fight, she said she felt like she would have won if that random person hadn't thrown paint on her leg, and that was a whole fiasco.
The air quotes.
You know what I'm saying? Like that was a whole fiasco. But at the end of the day, they rematched and she beat her worse. And yeah, it's like that there's that chapter is closed. Excuse me. There's nothing more for them.
I agree. I don't think they need to rematch at all. I thought Mayer won last time. I thought she just. I mean, I want to say dominated, but she didn't dominate. But man, she that girl. She levels up every single time I see her fight. So every time she takes a big fight, it jumps up and shows more wrinkles than I didn't know she had. And this has been consistent against Baumgardner again, and then recently against Jonas. Just phenomenal. And then I feel like, in my opinion, Mikaela Mayer's undefeated, but her record has 2 losses. But even if I take them at face value, they were very close. I think both of them were split decisions. And she's always on the level of whatever champion she's facing. And then she got to I like what she did last time against Ryan, but it was a lot closer. And I think that you were onto something when you said that Ryan came out this time trying to box more. Obviously, I guess she was more mad the first time. And I think that that's actually what helped her more in the first fight, was being unpredictably aggressive and making Mikaela make the adjustments. This time, I think they both had their game plan. And you're right. I think that Ryan showing her cards early made Mayer make this adjustment that I bet she's been wanting to make for a while of like, oh, if you're going to box it, I'm going to come at you. And I mean, I love the volume. I love the shot placement. I love the shot selection. I like every tool in her bag. I love it. My favorite performance of hers by a long shot, and I love so many of her performances. And don't let me make it sound like it wasn't competitive. It was competitive at times, and I think that Ryan is a fantastic fighter. She was one of my favorite women fighters going into the first fight. But Mayer's been up there for me for a while, so it's like battle of who's going to stay in Dallas Owens' top 5 women fighter. You know how they're all trying to. They all want to get up in my top 5.
Yeah.
But I still rate her so highly. She lost to Mikaela Mayer. There's nothing wrong with that. But go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say just back on the approach for them two. I think Mayer did a great job, like I said, of adjusting, and I think Ryan let a little bit of too many of those rounds get away from her trying to box, and I think probably around 5 or 6. She was like, okay, I probably lost the last 3 rounds, or her corner told her I probably lost these last 3 rounds, and then she had to push the pace on Mikaela Mayer, which takes them right back to the last fight. And Mikaela Mayer did exactly what she did on her last fight. You can push the pace on me, but you're not going to outwork me and you're not going to outpunch me. I can move horizontally. I can stop you from cutting off the ring without just going face to face with you and not taking a step back. I can do that while still out punching you, while still working the body, while still throwing combinations, pivoting. It's just honestly brilliant how she does it. I would say my favorite Mayer performance is Amadouche, though, which was kind of similar to her first fight with Ryan. She comes forward at her and she's like, okay, I can't go nowhere but besides this ring. I'm moving vertically, and I'm finding a way to outpunch you. I think she probably pushed Amadouche a little bit more because she's a much bigger girl. But yeah, classic Mikaela Mayer performance. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for her here at 147. She says she feels a lot better after her first fight, and now she's gonna try to collect the rest of the belts.
Yeah, I believe that was her third fight, first defense, because I think the first welterweight was Natasha Jonas.
Yeah.
And I mean, this fight, I mean, she looked, first time when she fought Jonas, I was like, she's a welterweight for sure. She fits in there. Against Sandy Ryan, I was like, she might be a little, like, not quite filled out enough for welterweight, but she's close and her skills make up for it. And then, man, she had power, and I think she felt that she had power, and like you said, when Ryan realized that she was behind and was going to have to start pushing the pace, it was Mikaela Mayer's a boxer, like a true boxer, but she's also very mean, and also now she can freaking punch. So I mean, she dogged it out like she didn't have to, and she dogged it out just I think for her own self-assuredness, and it was fantastic, just fantastic performance all around.
I just think when Mikaela Mayer gets in there with some of these girls, she just tells herself like she can't hurt me, and I think she was convinced that Amadouche couldn't hurt her. She was convinced that Baumgardner couldn't hurt her. She was convinced that Ryan couldn't hurt her, and she knew that Natasha Jonas couldn't hurt her. So I think just the approach is like. It will never be Mikaela Mayer saying, okay, I need to step back and box until she gets hurt. She is okay with going in the firefight with her, no matter how good of a boxer she is. Until she gets hurt, she's gonna be in the phone booth with you as much as you want to be.
Yeah, her inside fighting is great especially for somebody as tall as she is. Like I don't know. I just love those tall, good inside fighters. It's like some of my favorite types of fight. Rafael Espinoza, Fundora can get down in the inside. Mikaela Mayer can get down on the inside. Gabriela Fundora, that girl can get down on the inside. But what interests me, because you say when you said she's probably not going to find somebody that can actually hurt her in the ring, is there's been talks, and I want to just dismiss them out of hand, but we'll go ahead and entertain this, that she could move up to 154 and meet Claressa Shields there. Now, they're old friends, but I think they both also are very competitive, and I think that they both want a mega fight, and that's pretty close to a mega fight in the women's thing. I don't want it to happen personally. I love both fighters, and I feel like the weight disparity at this point is too big. Somebody's going to give something up going one way or the other. Shields will give up a little bit now that she's become a light heavyweight, and Mayer would give up just general size, strength maybe towards Shields if she were to move up. There are other options that I want to go over later, but how do you feel about Mikaela Mayer and Claressa Shields meeting at
No,
154 and going at it?
as a boxing fan, I want that fight. As a fan of Mikaela Mayer's, I do not want that fight. As a fan of Claressa Shields, I do want that fight. So I'm
So
down
two out of
for it.
three.
Yeah, 2 out of 3. I'm down for it. I don't like that fight for Mikaela Mayer. Claressa Shields is just so goddamn fast, dude. And you're talking about somebody coming up in weight versus somebody coming down in weight. Usually, one of them has a speed advantage, and it's not the person coming down in weight. So you got a
Yeah.
speed, power, and size advantage coming from somebody who is not even arguably the better boxer, the more accomplished fighter. You could probably the most experienced fighter. Like that. That's just a recipe for disaster for Mikaela Mayer, who probably can't hurt her. Um, yeah, I don't like that fight for Mikaela Mayer. But she's gonna. Yeah. Out of what do you think?
I think Mayer would almost without a doubt push Claressa Shields in a way she hadn't been pushed in a while. Uh, I thought Savannah Marshall pushed her, but her reaction to that was being so much better that it was undeniable. I'm afraid that she would also do the same thing. Again, huge Mayer fan. I don't want that. Shields fan. Yeah, I could see why you would want to do that. I think it's good for her to be sitting at super middle light heavy. I think those are her weight classes. She seems really comfortable there, and she seems stronger than ever. I mean, she almost knocked that gigantic girl down with one arm.
Yeah.
She's so strong now, and I think she needs to keep that strength. And there was a recent debut a couple weeks ago of a super middleweight lady. I think that those weight classes will fill out now that she's there. She's always been unfortunate in that she's in the higher weight classes of the women's divisions, and there's just not a lot of star power. But she is the star power, not as much as she should be, but she is the star power there. And I think that her being there is going to create larger divisions where she's not having to find somebody with 5 fights to become a heavyweight champion.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Mayer would push her. I don't think she would win that fight. I wouldn't be crazy surprised if she was able to pull it off because she's got the skill. I think she would have the height and reach advantage, but that's like about it. And I think that Claressa Shields' skills are also maybe a level above. I hate to say that because her level is about as high as it can get, but I think that Shields is she's like one of them once in a generation special kind of folks. But I think I'm much more interested in the other two prospect fights of hers, which is for one, becoming undisputed against Lauren Price or fighting for undisputed against Lauren Price, who is scary. We saw what she did to Jonas, especially like you do boxing math. Mikaela Mayer did this to Jonas. Lauren Price did this to Jonas. I don't think they're apples to apples comparisons. I think that Jonas lost a step sometime between those two fights. And it seemed like an older fighter who saw the shots but couldn't pull the trigger when she was fighting Price. But Price, that's not to take away from what she did. She's so strong. She's so fast. She's legitimately a smart boxer. Incredibly difficult to beat. The only person I think that has a chance to beat her is Mayer in that weight class, and I think I would even favor Mayer just from the experience standpoint. But how do you feel about that one in particular?
I would also favor Mayer. Experience is a giant factor there. I feel like Natasha Jonas did lose a step, but I think also there's a much bigger risk factor that fighting and counter punching and punching in between combinations with Lauren Price has that a lot of women don't have. So I think that changed Natasha Jonas's approach and how she, she got off. Yeah. And how she approached it. I don't think Mikaela Mayer has to worry about that too much just because she's a couple of inches taller than Lauren Price. I think she has a significant height and reach advantage. I think she is probably the naturally bigger girl as far as like overall stature. I think
Mhm.
Lauren Price is like swoller, and she's obviously
Oh,
jacked.
she's swole.
Yeah,
There's no
no, that's
doubt in my
not
mind.
a lie. She's
She's
definitely
more swole.
swollen. Yeah, she's definitely jacked. But she's really fast too, and she's mean.
Very
So
fast. Very
yeah,
mean.
there's nothing to there's no way you're gonna dismiss her and act like she can't win this fight. She definitely can, but I would give, like I said, I would give Mikaela Mayer the edge because of the experience, because of the dog that's in her, because of the
The
will, the
dog.
want, yeah, the want to become undisputed. Like, um, it's really hard to line up with Mikaela Mayer and it not be the worst night of your life. So I'm excited for that fight. Like I said, I like Lauren Price. She's a great fighter, and I think she'd definitely do well for herself. But if that fight is next, then hey, I think Mikaela Mayer is finally going to be undisputed like she's wanted to for so long.
I think I tend to agree, and I want that fight to be next. Listening to Sergio, or not Sergio Mora, listening to Chris Mannix on his podcast this week, he does not like that fight for Mikaela Mayer. I think he's drastically underestimating Mikaela Mayer,
Yeah,
and he thinks that Price is going to just like demolish her. Um, I think maybe the point he was trying to make was that it's not the biggest money it could be. The risk isn't worth the reward. I think the reward of being undisputed in a when you're towards the kind of the back half of your career is enough for Mikaela Mayer. I think the competitor in her is what's kept her in the pros for as long as she has. But she's not just making gobs and gobs of money when you compare her to other champions in the men's divisions. I think it is the competitiveness and wanting to taking out a formidable a champ as Lauren Price to become undisputed at welterweight. I think would be exactly what she wants, and I think that's exactly what she can do. So
yeah.
I'm for it. I want it to happen. Disagree with
Wait,
Chris Mannix.
yeah, and and Mikaela Mayer's competitiveness has got her this far as well. Like she
Mm-hmm.
didn't start boxing until she was 19 years old. She was in a band and doing all this and that and barely got into the game. There's nothing more important than being undisputed. There's no risk
Mm-hmm.
reward factor balancing here. The only thing
Mm-hmm.
is for Mikaela Mayer is become undisputed. Like that's it. I feel like if Mikaela Mayer got knocked out by Lauren Price, the very next day she would say, "I want to fight her again." That's just how she rolls.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
That's how she comes. Like there's no decision making process in here. I don't know if Chris Mannix is trying to kind of water it down by thinking like Lauren Price is just definitely going to win. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a no brainer for Mikaela Mayer. Go make that fight, better or worse, win or lose.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you 100%. And then the other matchup, we don't have to talk about it for too long, is somehow getting Alycia Baumgardner at 130 pounds to come up to 147 or meet her at 140 or something and get that rematch.
Yeah,
I don't want to give it a lot of thought because of the difference in weight classes they're in now. I do want to give it a lot of thought because of the buildup. Uh, Mikaela Mayer is like the nonstop beef queen of boxing, right? Like she's got the best beefs and they last the longest. And I don't think they'll ever go away. Like I love the way she operates inside and outside the ring. Even with her friends like Sinisa Estrada, she's got beef with most of the time, and it's awesome and hilarious. I love the fact I love that rematch happening. I don't think it's happening anytime soon, and I don't think Baumgardner wants it. To be honest, uh, not only is there a good chance she's going to lose that fight when she's trying to build her career back up, but also I don't think she just wants to give Mayer the satisfaction of getting the rematch. But
yeah.
I mean, that's more or less most of my thoughts on that whole situation. I just don't think it's going to happen. How do you feel about it?
Well, I'll kind of piggyback off of what Mikaela Mayer said herself. Now that Alycia Baumgardner has signed with Jake Paul, a lot of more things are capable. They've got the money to make that happen. She might not want to give Mikaela Mayer the shot. She might not want to fight her again. But if Jake Paul writes that check and puts a number in front of her that's really going to move the needle and change her life, then I think she fights her again. They can meet at a catch weight. One of them can go up or go down. I think it is possible. I like the opportunity, the potential of the fight. Obviously, the first fight was amazing, and like you said, the Mikaela Mayer is the beef queen, the soundbite queen. Like, I don't know if you.
I don't think she's gonna love the nickname Beef Queen. I think we should probably
the queen.
Think of a different way to say that.
Yeah, well, yeah, she's the queen of the beef, whatever it is. She come with the beef. She come with the smoke. I don't know if you had already switched over, but during, or if you went back and watched the post fight interview, but
no, I missed it.
They asked her like, are you burying the hatchet? Like, is this everything that you expected? This and that, woo, and she said, pretty plainly, I wanted to beat her ass, and that's what I did. That's all. That's the only thought she got on the beef with Sandy Ryan. It's over. I wanted to beat her ass, and I did. And when I tell you, Mikaela Mayer stands on business, that's exactly what I mean right there. So yeah, I want to fight again. I want to hear what they talk. I want to hear what they say to each other, and I want to see the fight. I want them to make it happen. One of the two. Either one's great. I'd obviously want her to be undisputed first, because that would make this fight move the needle a little bit more, settle it a little bit more. And I want her to be undisputed because she's wanted to be undisputed for so long. But if it's Alycia or Baumgardner next, no problem whatsoever. Make the fight.
The MVP signing didn't even occur to me. I appreciate you bringing that up. And if Mikaela Mayer does become undisputed next, that makes moving up 2 weight classes to fight her way more worth it for Alycia Baumgardner, and they'll both probably make a whole lot more money. I thought of a different nickname. It's actually going to be Rivalry Royalty instead of Beef Queen. Rivalry Royalty. A little bit of a tongue twister. Doable. Sounds better than Beef Queen. But that brings us to the future, right? We covered last weekend. Let's worry about this weekend. We got a bunch of cards, honestly. We don't have to cover a lot of them in depth, but what's going on? We got a fight night coming on in the Apex.
Yeah. Good old UFC Apex card, man. I've been saying do away with these because God, why? But it's a good venue and a good opportunity for the lower guys to showcase and break through and get some wins under their belt. But Josh Emmett is headlining it against Lerone Murphy. That's going to be a good one. Always a show when Josh Emmett comes out because he's an absolute slapper, banger, knockout artist. Lerone Murphy is he's a great fighter as well. So I want to see if it becomes a grappling match. That is kind of exciting for me in this matchup in particularly, but I don't know. I think probably it's going to be guns blazing. Somebody gets put out of there. But yeah, it's a solid card. It's got Kennedy Njoku is fighting on the main card as well, who fights out of Fortis MMA. Great fighter, just doesn't pull the trigger sometimes, so I worry about him. But hopefully he comes out and gets another good performance. Brad Tavares versus Gerard Mershart is a banger. And then solid undercard. But I'm looking forward to that. But like I said, Apex card, UFC Fight Night, nothing too crazy. What about Janibek's card?
Yeah, unfortunately my Saturday is all up. I don't think I'm going to be able to fit the Apex into it. So I'll be waking up at, I believe, 4 a.m., maybe 5 a.m. to watch this card. I think it's the first major boxing card in Kazakhstan, and Janibek was able to do it. I wish that in Triple G's time, but we can all wish. I'm sure he helped pave the way for it and everything. As far as the whole card goes, it is the most hard to pronounce names, fighting the second most hard to pronounce names, and no disrespect to any of them at all. And most of them I actually really appreciate. I'm going to sound like a jackass if I try, so I'm just going to give the highlights. You got Janibek Alimkhanuly versus Anauel Ngamissengue, I believe is his name. Haven't seen anything of him. I don't know. He's undefeated. We're going to say there's a chance of an upset because I have no idea what this guy's capable of. I don't think it's likely, but you don't know. I don't know. I rate Janibek very highly, but there's always a bigger fish, But also on the same card is Bakadir Jalalov. You'll maybe recognize him from the Olympics last year or the Olympics 4 years before that. Did great, beat Junior Terra in the quarterfinals, I think, this last one. And then you got Batirjan Jukumbayev is also on the card, also from Kazakhstan. Fantastic to watch. I think all three of those guys are worth watching, even if it was just showcase fights. Like, I don't know how competitive it's going to be. I don't expect it to be that competitive. But as far as card in Kazakhstan, wake up early in the morning, watch it go down ESPN. I'm in. I'll watch it. And then also, across the world on the other side, I'm not great at geography. We'll go. And then in Australia, we got Tim Tszyu fighting Joey Spencer. Okay. Undercard on there. Not if you're not from Australia or don't follow Australian boxing very closely, the undercard may not tantalize you all that much. I'm gonna watch it because I watch everything and I love it. But honestly, I hadn't heard of most of these guys, and I've heard of everybody. But so Tim Tszyu's fighting Joey Spencer, and that's gonna happen on Sunday in Australia, which means I think the main event is gonna be the ring walks are gonna be 10 p.m. Central Saturday for us. So normal boxing time. Odd that they had to fight at 11 a.m. on Sunday in Australia, but they have a different culture than we do or whatever. As far as the importance of it all, Tim's coming back from that terrible knockout, back-to-back loss, one loss from Fundora, which was a good close fight, bloodiest thing I've ever seen in my entire life, and then getting mowed down. Can we say mowed down by Bakram Mirzayev? And that was rough to watch, and it made me worry about him. But he believes in himself. I believe in him. I think that everybody can get caught. And it's the same way I feel, like, not to get on a sidetrack, but AJ Dubois, once you get caught good the first time, everything you do after that, you can't really be blamed for, even if it was a bad game plan. And it was, and he paid for it. I think he learned that lesson. The dude he's fighting, Joey Spencer, if you're not familiar with him, he was on the rise a while back, took a loss to Jesus Ramos. It was he got dropped pretty hard in the first round. I think he made it 7 or 8 rounds, got stopped TKO. Jesus Ramos is a beast, so nothing wrong with him there. But Joey Spencer's style he's the American version of Tim Tszyu. I think this is going to be an incredibly fun matchup. It's basically Tim Tszyu fighting Tim Tszyu. One had an American dad, one had an Australian mom, and then like the parent trap right in the middle. I don't know. I'm excited for it. You got anything to say about that?
Yeah, that's hilarious. That's absolutely wild that you made that fucking reference. But yeah, I'm excited. Like I said, yeah, like you said, I'm kind of sad for Tim Tszyu, especially how he went out his last 2 fights. I think that fight with Fundora took a lot out of him, or I worry that it's took a lot out of him. I think it probably did, which is very sad because, definitely one of the best fighters in the world, and he just caught an elbow, which made him take a million punches from, however tall Fundora is, and he's got pop, and you're fighting a guy on short notice who's way taller than you, and he's got pops, and you can't fucking see. Like that's just a bad night, and I really think it seeped over into his next fight, which, yeah, like you said, he got absolutely washed. He got hurt early, but what worries me is he didn't make any adjustments. He didn't really seem like he knew where he was, and that might just because he got hit so hard, but it might also just be because his mind isn't like it used to be, or he's just irresponsible when he gets hurt. But it was just sad to watch
all
him.
Equally likely.
Yeah, it was sad to watch him try to still bang when he didn't have his legs under him. Looked like he did. Like he would get up and look at his corner, like, "What the fuck just happened?" Like you got knocked down. Anyway, yeah. Hopefully he comes out looking like the old Tim Tszyu, and like you said, it's a banger. We can get a pretty good matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I think how much the Fundora fight took out of him, and I think it was like 7 pints of blood. Anyway, I know, honestly, I want him to do well. I appreciate him. I appreciate what he does for the sport, and I really just love his style, which is, kind of caveman of me, but I got to back the dude. Him and Virgil Ortiz are like 2 peas in a pod, just like, let's go get him. Doesn't matter who, doesn't matter when, let's do it. And you have to you have to give those guys grace when they take some losses, because that's going to happen when you're challenging yourself constantly. But
Absolutely.
Elsewhere, also up from Australia, left of Kazakhstan, and then across the Atlantic from us is going to be Joyce fighting Filip Hrgovic. It's supposed to be Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte dropped out. Now he's fighting Hrgovic. I hate this fight for him. When it was Whyte, I was all for it, but Hrgovic is a monster. Losing to Dubois doesn't mean you're shot. Same way with like losing to Zhang twice, and also losing to Derek Chisora kind of means you should probably think about where you're at. But I want Joyce to prove himself. He's another one of my favorite dudes. He got here super late in the pros. He has taken more damage than anybody in that short amount of time he's been here. And he walked through damn near all of it until he didn't. But now that he's back, I'm a little worried. But, I mean, you can do fight math all day. Hrgovic beat Zhang. Zhang beat Joyce. Joyce beat Dubois. Dubois beat Hrgovic. Whatever. However you want to split it up or whatever. But I don't think it's an even fight. I think it heavily favors Hrgovic. I don't want that to be true. And I want Joyce to come out victorious, and I want him to eat the same punches that he used to eat, and I want him to be a stand there solid like the Rock of Gibraltar like he used to. But I don't think that's what's going to happen. I'm not going to cover the undercard on that one, but how do you feel about Joyce, Filip Hrgovic? Or any thoughts, I should say?
Yeah, I don't like that fight for Joyce either. I think Hrgovic is a little bit too fast for him. And if Joyce's chin is permanently cracked, as it seems like it is, since Zhanged him, I think this is going to be a bad night for him. I don't think he should be fighting fighters that are particularly faster than him. Not like there's a long list of fighters that aren't. If there's a fighter that's faster than him that can actually crack a little bit, I think it's a bad night for him, because from what I remember and from what I know, he used to walk through guys. He used to walk through their punches and land his own and eventually get you out of there if he can. Now he's getting knocked down by guys like Dillian Whyte, who are clearly on the end of his career, like you said.
Derek Chisora.
Derek Chisora, Derek Chisora. So, like, I don't know if this is a good fight for him. Obviously, he shouldn't have turned down the fight like the last minute replacement or anything like that. But I agree. I don't like the fight for him, but it'd be nice to see him come out straight juggernaut, get him out of there with one big slow punch. But we'll see.
I really hope so, and it's unfortunate that you don't want people that much faster than him, because he is literally the slowest guy I have ever seen do anything in the ring. And that was part of the appeal. Is like, you got a couple minutes to see if that bad boy is going to land, and you see the trajectory is right. The yaw is good. I don't know. I hope the best for him. I love the dude as a fan. I don't know him personally, of course, but then also a heavyweight back here across the pond. Now we're in America, Las Vegas to be precise. You got my boy Richard Torrez Jr., whom I don't actually know personally, but I feel like I do because I care about his career so much. Stepping up in a major way and fighting Guido Vianello. I don't know if you know much about Guido Vianello. He's a beast. He lost a split to Efe Ajagba, who's formidable, and hurt Efe a few times, like bad. Yeah. His jab is remarkable for somebody who got a late start the way that he did. He took a loss to Jonathan Rice a little bit earlier than that. It was like a cut that got out of hand, and he lost the fight that way. I don't think he would have lost to Jonathan Rice any other way. At least not that Jonathan Rice, as we learned. There are two now, at least two. But as far as the matchup, man, like, this is going to tell us a ton about Richard Torrez. This is what we've all been waiting for. Where's he at in the heavyweight division? So when it comes to Vianello, we know roughly what his level is. It's about the same as Efe Ajagba's, more or less. What we don't know that about Richard Torrez. We know he can beat Curtis Harper. That doesn't say a ton. We know he can beat that Gutierrez. That doesn't say anything at all. So this is going to be a good one for us Richard Torrez fans to let him prove to the world, at least that he's this level. There's more to go. There's higher to climb. And I honestly believe in him. I think he's got the skills to pay the bills. But if he has any holes in his game, Guido Vianello is going to be capable of finding those holes and taking advantage of it. The dude can punch, man. And he's not a dumb boxer. He's a smart boxer. So I'm interested to see how this is going to go. How do you have any thoughts on that particular matchup?
No, I'm excited for it. I like Richard Torrez. I'm really excited to see him against the upper echelons guys. I think Efe Ajagba is a great fight for him. I'd like to see that very much. And if Top Rank is willing to roll the dice and risk it for the biscuit, go ahead and put him in there with Jared Anderson next. And I mean that risk factor for both guys. Like, you got two of your potential heavyweight stars going up against each other. It's kind of a lose situation for them as far as the trajectory of one of these heavyweights, but you might fuck around and get a great fight. And they might, there's a small chance that they might both end up being great, and they have great fights, and then they both become champions, and then they have to unify again later on down the line. Who knows? But yeah, I'll be watching for sure, because I'm very interested in seeing what Richard Torres' ceiling is.
Yeah, and we've talked about it before. It's Richard Torres' small size at heavyweight, because the skills are obviously there, but he's very small for a heavyweight. And we've talked about that almost ad nauseum. But Canelo's 6'6". He's the size of these big heavyweights, and he's not just some chump like the other big guys Richard Torres has fought before. So we're going to get to see how does he react to an actual heavyweight that actually has skill, that actually can punch. I don't know. I'm excited for it. We got the co-main, I think, is Lindolfo Delgado versus Elvis Rodriguez, which is a pretty interesting matchup. Abdullah Mason is stepping up to Carlos Ornelas. Abdullah Mason's always worth watching. He just keeps getting better. He's got skills to pay bills. Probably one of the more promising young guys in the sport right now.
Didn't he get hurt his last fight?
He did. He got dropped. And then he came back, and then he dropped that dude.
Yeah. He
heart.
showed he had grit at the very least. And if you got skills and you got grit and you got a little bit of pop, I like you. I like where you can go, especially such a young guy. Yeah, I like seeing him step up. Let's see what he got, man.
Yeah, I agree. And then also on that same card, you got Albert Gonzalez. You may know him as Chop Gonzalez. He's fighting Dana Coolwell. Don't know anything about Dana Coolwell other than if I'm not mistaken, he's from Australia, and his name is cool. Literally, whatever. Yeah, Chop Gonzalez has been fun so far. I don't have any indication as to where he is or what he's going to be or anything like that, but he's one of these cats that is working their way up the undercard right now. The bar has been pretty exciting, so I think he's worth watching as well. But that's pretty much the whole top rank card. Other than that, we had all over the world. Okay, then you got ProBox TV doing their thing in Philly on Saturday as well. ProBox TV, they don't really do wrong. It's easy to find. It's easy to watch. It's the best commentary in the game, if you ask me. Chris Algieri and Paulie Malignaggi. They're the best at what they do. They know the game so much, and if you want to learn about boxing, ProBox TV is a great way to learn about boxing in real time. Yeah. But the main matchup is Ricardo Salas and Kent Cruz going to be on it. I don't know who that is. No disrespect to them. If they're on ProBox and they're headlining, I bet they're awesome, and I bet it's a whole lot of fun. But the card's worth looking out for anyway. Just ProBox TV. Look for it on YouTube. Get the app. I think they prefer you to get the app. But should you not, look for it on YouTube.
Real quick, just to touch on that as well, ProBox has always impressed me with their matchup. They're not here to promote guys and to make guys look like world beaters when they're not, or to build guys up slowly, 4-0, 5-0, 6-0 versus guys that are 2-12, nothing like that. They're about throwing scraps. They're putting together cards where guys are evenly matched and 50-50 fights, and it's worth tuning in. Not to saying that the other guys are not worth tuning in, but it's especially worth tuning in when you got guys in the main event, the co-main event, and even earlier in the card that are genuinely good matchups, and they turn out to be good fights. So definitely worth tuning in to ProBox always, because they put on good fights. But yeah, a little bit of drama in the boxing world. Amanda Serrano shared her thoughts, saying It's 2025. These boxing promoters still lying to fighters. Dirty, disgusting game. Thank God I'm partnered with honest people, MVP Promotions, led by obviously Jake Paul. Everybody got their opinion on them. You know, it is what it is. I like what he's doing for the sport. I don't like what he's doing in the sport, but I like what he's doing for the sport. And then Savannah Marshall backdoored and shared this on her Instagram and said, honestly, wait until I open my mouth about this. Boxing is like a massive game of snakes and ladders, with one individual thinking he's Kai off the Jungle Book. Wow. Tell me how you really feel. Is this a shot at Ben Shalom?
I mean, probably. And she's probably not wrong either. Shannon Courtenay got with some emojis as well. Good to see that former champ. I wish he was more active or got back into the sport. But yeah, I think it was a shot at Ben Shalom or Box, or literally you could name any promoter in the game. It would apply to them. Sorry to say, Amanda. I know it's 2025. I know we should all be better than that. There's going to be snakes in this sport for all of time. They were there at the beginning. They're going to be there at the end. There's going to be snakes everywhere, but don't get paranoid. But find your little group of people you can trust and hang out with them, because like it's a dirty business. But I mean, the world's dirty business, so it's just something you have to like the dirtiness, the snakiness. I mean, spill the tea by all means. Once they can start talking shit like out of their contracts or whatever, then please let them talk shit. I want to hear it. I would love it. Everybody needs to get their day in the sun, especially people who are deceitful and terrible. But none of that surprises me in the least bit, and it doesn't matter who she was even talking about. I probably won't be surprised with that either. How do you feel?
It probably is very correct, and I don't know very many people in the promoting business that this wouldn't absolutely apply to. But whoever she was talking to, she's sending shots, and she's probably waiting for her contract to be up. I know she did have a recent issue with Ben Shalom, the CEO of Boxer, her promoter, where she wanted to be on that Natasha Jonas and Lauren Price card, and they couldn't come to an agreement. Boxer said it was something on her end. She said it
was. Now you're getting me heated.
Yeah. She said that it was.
I was not aware of that.
Yeah, I just got hip to this myself. Yeah, so she wanted to be on that card, and she was really fucking pissed about it. So if she gets out of this deal, I'm sure she's gonna have a whole lot to say.
What a fucking whiff! What a fucking whiff! That would have been such a good addition to that card. It was a great card. It was a lot of fun. Lots of great women on it. But what a fucking whiff, dude. And then, I mean, that's the thing. Like, Boxer has a lot of good female boxers, but they have consistently not known what to do with them. And so I think that this all-women's card that seemed like it was a let's give all the glory to the women, which they deserve, and all this respect. They have their own card, and look how fun it is. I think it was more of, I have a ton of these women fighters, and I don't know what to do with them. I bet I can get them all their contracted fight this year, all at once, and then we don't have to worry about it, which is a fucking shame, because they do deserve all that adulation, and they do deserve to have their own cards, and that people need to see them more often, the all-women, so they can see how great that sport is. I mean, it's not a completely separate sport, slightly different, but it's so fast-paced, so fun. These women just dog it out. I have nothing but respect for all of them. I think, one day, hopefully we can all get 12 3-minute rounds. I guess people feel differently about that, but right now, just give them the air, dude. And if Savannah Marshall wants to be on an all-women's card, let her be on the fucking all-women's card. Like, what are we doing? Doesn't matter who she fought. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think it might have been some negotiation issues, and I don't know who didn't agree with the terms or whatever. But
Natasha Jonas has talked about the same thing. Shalom, like not getting your fights there, like the Mikaela Mayer Natasha Jonas match was the same thing. They were both in, they both signed for it. It just fell apart, and the X factor there was Boxer, but. I don't know. I don't want to just pile on the dude. I don't know what it's like in their lives or what their offices look like, or I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's terrible. I really hate to hear that. It and honestly, like this kind of like both of them sounding off. It reminds me of Chris Ubek Jr. at the press conference and how he just went on a rant about all the promoters. All of them are pieces of shit. Eddie Hearn, uh, who was Frank Warren. They were sitting right behind him. He just got to talking about all of them, and then he gave his flowers to Turkey Alycia. That's crazy. I hate that for these people who are stuck in these deals and they're unhappy with their promoters. But I do love a little bit of beef and a little bit of boxing. I mean, a little bit of gossip
beef.
in the boxing world.
Love beef, and it's funny you mentioned that press conference because for one, that's mostly I bet the reason they weren't naming names in the comments is because Frank Warren was going to sue their asses. Like he tried to, I think he did with Eubank Jr. He definitely said he would. I don't know. Who knows? I don't even want to learn about it, honestly. We'll just let it play out in the public sphere. But funnily enough, Chris Eubank Jr. is signed with Ben Shalom, I think, from what I understand. You know, you can different people are snakes to different people, I guess. You know, and then maybe he's just wise to it. Like, well, if I can make a profit using this snake, then we may as well, kind of thing. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to see how it all plays out. I hate to hear that he's with Ben Shalom if Ben Shalom has been dropping the ball, but you know it is what it is. Boxing's not perfect. MMA is not perfect. None of these combat sports or promoters or businessmen or businesswomen are perfect at all. So you know it's going to be these bumps in the road and these people that are operating off their own interest.
I think it's important to state while we're on this particular subject that boxing as a whole is not one entity. It's a bunch of different entities working simultaneously for their own ends. You know, it's a dirty sport. It's a dirty business. It's a beautiful sport. It's a beautiful business. The sport as a whole doesn't run very efficiently. It's not cohesive. There's a lot of infighting, a lot of outfighting, a lot of this and that. But when things don't run, when a lot of people are involved, it's a good thing for things to not run efficiently. It's bad for us as consumers, but it's good because the power isn't in one spot. So there are players now trying to consolidate as much power in this sport as they can, make it more like certain other powers, UFC, cough, cough, because it's more efficient that way for us as consumers. But it's a very high price to pay for efficiency, is having one person in complete control, able to corrupt or uncorrupt as they see fit. Never trust one guy who thinks that he can make things more efficient by consolidating power. That's the rant. That's my whole rant. God bless boxing.
God bless boxing. All right, well, with that, we're going to sign out. Thank y'all for tuning in. Make sure y'all hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. Turn that notification bell on so you don't never miss none of these. We're on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook. We'd appreciate y'all's support and on all of those platforms. Obviously, we got the merch. Tap in, go to fighttalk.com. Yeah, we'll get another episode out as soon as possible, and we appreciate y'all for sticking around. But for now, we're signing out. Appreciate y'all. Have a great one.
Eagle on the track.